Nintendogs Lab and Friends. Such a sweet, innocent game. I had gotten that game years ago, and I was genuinely so excited. I bought a red Calvary KC Spaniel when I had first started my file. I named her Noodles. She was so sweet. I would spend hours with her, training my sweet little puppy, feeding her, bathing her. I played the game almost non-stop when I got the cartridge that one cold day. I had gotten many other dogs in the game, but only 3 stayed with me at all times. The 3 were Noodles, along with Shelly, a miniature Dachshund, and Draco, a German Shepherd. They would cheer me up when I was down. They'd make me happy even during my darkest hours. I loved them so much. They were my best friends. I mean, as silly as that sounds, it was almost as if they were alive to me. But as time went by, I was slowly growing out of Nintendogs. It was almost as if they could sense that I was going to leave them. I started to play different games, I began to get on the computer more often, I was starting to watch more television. Slowly but surely, Nintendogs had been forgotten and replaced. Replaced with bigger and better things. Years later, I was digging through my games, not to play them, no, but to sell them. I honestly didn't want to do any of that, but I kinda had to, as my mom needed a lot of money at this point. I froze as my hand brushed against a small game cartridge. I blinked, picked it up, and dusted it off. It was my old Nintendogs cartridge. I smiled. Boy, how much I'd missed that game. Last time I had played it was before my best friend had left me. I wound up forgetting about what I was doing and stood up, still holding the cartridge. My mom was still out of the house at the time, so I was free to play it. I grabbed my DSi and sat down on my bed and pushed a small square into the system. A small click echoed throughout my room. I stared at the startup icon. It looked odd. There was no cute little lab puppy on it. It was just a completely red screen. I shrugged it off. It was just an error, nothing too major. I tapped the screen and watched the icon disappear, as if it faded out of the game. I noticed a normal Nintendogs logo against a white screen, but the writing on the bottom half was gone. Was this normal? I mean, it had to be. It was probably just my mind playing tricks on me. But instead of the normal happy bark welcoming me, it was just silence. My eyes widened at what I saw. Instead of seeing the normal happy beach scene, the sand was covered with bones and internal organs of what seemed to be other dogs. The sky was blood red, and more bones and other severed body parts scattered the ocean, making it red also. Swallowing hard, I looked around for my dogs. I almost wished that I hadn't. The minute I started looking, I heard a soft whining noise. Noodles lay there, covered in blood. My mouth went dry as realization hit me. The bones and body parts were parts of Draco and Shelly. This was not normal. Not at all. My eyes were filled with tears as I frantically held my thumb on the power button. The DS system cannot be turned off at this time. What? What the hell did that even mean? I wound up shuddering, tossing my DSi across the room. It made a loud thud as I hit the wall. I made a dash for the door, hitting my hand on the knob. I jiggled it. It wasn't moving, and my door didn't even have a lock. I opened my mouth to scream, but nothing came out. Sobbing silently, I pressed my back against the door, closing my eyes. After a few minutes of sobbing, I calmed down. Everything was silent. Maybe my DS had turned itself off. Maybe I had broken it. I didn't care. I just wanted out. An icy chill went up my spine as I heard a few barks coming from my DSi. Hesitantly, I slowly walked towards it. Noodles was standing in front of the screen, holding a leash in her mouth. Noodle would like you to take her for a walk. I quivered. I didn't know what to think. I hastily picked up my DSi, getting a good look at Noodles. Her eyes were gone. There was nothing left but her eye sockets. Blood covered her face, and some skin and fur was missing. Sobbing, I tapped the no option on the screen. The screen then faded to white, leading me to the root screen. It looked normal, besides the root ink. It was blood red. It automatically made its own route. Is this the route you'll take? I frantically typed the no button. It didn't listen. Noodle and I were immediately started to walk. I stared at the screen in horror. All of the buildings were on fire, body parts of humans and dogs alike were scattered all over the sidewalk. Noodles stopped at a dead puppy and started to eat it. I continued sobbing as she dragged me through the terrifying scene. Woof, woof, Noodle barked. Oh no, another dog. The scene faded to white for a few seconds before showing a new screen. Maggie is out for a walk. Instead of a cute little Yorkie jumping around, it was a decaying skeleton with some rotting flesh on it. Chala has some stern words for you. I gulped, clicking on the red arrow. Your dogs are dead, Lita. Everyone's dogs are dead. It's all your fault. I watched in terror as Noodles lunged forward, gnawing at the dead body of Maggie. It's time to say goodbye to Chantel. Noodles doesn't seem to like Maggie very much. The screen faded out, and back into Noodles and I walking. After a few minutes of walking, she barked once, running out of sight. She came back with a white and red present. Noodles must have found something. She's bringing it to you. You got a dog skull. Noodles excitedly pawed at the screen. The skull belongs to a local neighborhood puppy. I continued to cry silently as Noodles dragged me through more terror. It seemed like it took forever, but we were soon back home. I finally managed to open my mouth and talk. Why are you doing this to me? I choked out, my voice scratchy. Noodles stared up at the screen. Noodles has waited 3 years for you to come back. I wound up gulping. But you never came back. Suddenly, what was left of Noodles' fur and skin slowly started to melt off. I'll make you suffer. Soon it was just a skeleton left. And just like that, the skeleton collapsed to the ground. My DSi turned off. Sobbing hysterically, I ripped the game out of my system and tossed it into the trash. Suddenly, my door slowly creaked open. Without thinking twice, I bolted out of the room. I never did play Nintendogs ever again after that. I can't go back to it. And I never, ever will.